All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I'm Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to talk about CleanSpark. They're a Bitcoin mining company, and I want to talk about three things. They just put out their monthly operational report, so I want to go through that and talk about what happened in March, but more importantly, two other big things. They just announced an $800 million at-the-market offering, so I want to talk about their stock dilution, go through specifically what went on there, and then I want to talk about their growth plans, and obviously one ties in with the other. So there is a massive amount of news that's come out on CleanSpark. I think the market was anywhere from surprised to a little bit shocked at some of this, but I think once we dig deeper and go through the numbers, it's going to make a little bit more sense, or at least that's what we're going to hope to try to do here. So if you're new to the channel, we talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners all the time on this channel. If that is content you're interested in, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'd like to thank everybody. We did just reach 20,000 subscribers recently, so much appreciation to all the existing subscribers. And also, if you could smash the like button, we're going for 800 likes. It has helped us out a lot recently, so thanks again for that as well. Okay, let's get into CleanSpark. You're going to see the last few trading days for CleanSpark have been very tough from a stock standpoint. On Thursday of last week, CleanSpark was down over 8%. Friday, there was no trading. Monday this week, CleanSpark opened up down 12.5%. In pre-market on Tuesday, which is when I'm recording this, CleanSpark's down another 4%. So this has been a very big pullback in just 3 trading days. Some of this is in general to a pullback in Bitcoin, but most of this is CleanSpark specific. And really, all of that has to do with the stock dilution that they announced. So I'm going to start out real quickly taking a look at what happened this past month. They put out their March operational report. This was their best month of Bitcoin mining in the history of CleanSpark, so that part of it is good news. They've got a lot of good news in this monthly operational report, but I do believe it's been overshadowed by the $800 million at the market offering that they just put out. Okay, this came out April 1st. CleanSpark releases March 2024 Bitcoin mining update. So right here, the first line, the company mined 806 Bitcoin in March, up 24% from February. So that is a big jump month over month. Now, there are 2 extra days in March than there were in February this year, so that's a little bit of a contributor. But remember, the network difficulty level continues to increase. So most of the other Bitcoin miners are mining less Bitcoin month over month. There are only 1 or 2 other Bitcoin miners that are improving on a monthly basis. And of course, for CleanSpark, this is due to the fact that they have added a massive amount of exahash over the last few months. Okay, so in addition to the 806 Bitcoin that they mined, which was the most they've ever mined in a month, they now have total Bitcoin holdings of over 5,021 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So for most of the crypto winter, Bitfarms was hanging out at about 500 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. About 6 months ago, they switched gears, and they did say from then until the halving, they were going to really focus on adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet. So you can see they have dramatically increased the amount of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. They've almost 10x'd the amount of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Back when they made this shift, we talked on this channel about the fact that I thought they stood a good chance from getting from 500 to 5,000 Bitcoin before the halving. Well, they're already at 5,000 Bitcoin as of March 31st. So now it looks more like they may be able to, over the next couple of months, maybe get to 6,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. We'll see what happens. But in any event, this has at least met, if not exceeded, my own personal expectations. Okay, so just a couple of quick highlights. You're going to see their hash rate is 16 exahash with 17 exahash imminent. I just want to quickly take a look at their January operational update. This is just 2 months ago. So as of January 31st, you're going to see their current hash rate was 10 exahash. So from January 31st until now, just 2 months later, they've gotten to over 16 exahash, and 17 exahash is imminent. So this is why their Bitcoin mining per month is going up. That is a significant amount of growth. They are outpacing really all of their peers by far as growth goes. There are a few other Bitcoin miners that do have big growth plans, but at the moment, from an execution standpoint, CleanSpark is ahead of the rest of their peers in these growth plans. Let's just read this sentence from CEO Zach Bradford. I'm also pleased to report that our Bitcoin treasury has grown to over 5,000 Bitcoin. Pair that with the current cash balance of over $300 million, and we are well on our way to taking advantage of what we expect to be one of the most active merger and acquisition seasons ever experienced in our industry. Okay, so this is a little insight as to what's going on with all the money they're raising. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this later when we specifically show you just how much money they've raised and how much more money they intend to raise in the coming year. It's also worth noting, with 5,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet and $300 million, that's over $600 million of liquidity. So they raised an awful lot of money very quickly, but that right there does account for where a lot of that money is. And in addition to that, you're going to see they go on to say, with the capital on hand, we have now fully funded the remaining payment of all 160,000 S21s that we announced in January. I want to go take a look at that announcement, and that was just a few months ago. Okay, this was on January 8th, 2024. CleanSpark announces strategic agreement for up to 160,000 Bitmain S21 miners, a path to 50 exahash. So remember, at this day that they put this press release out, they were at 10 exahash. So I will tell you, I personally did feel like this was way out in the distance. Getting from 10 to 50 exahash, that is a 5x growth in their business, and CleanSpark had already had a huge growth year in the year 2023. So to me, this seemed like more of a multiple year plan that was way out in the distance. It's now just 2.5 months later, and they have now funded this 50 exahash, or this 160,000 Bitmain S21 miners. So I thought this would take probably the next 15 months for them to fund, and they would buy this over time, but they've gone very aggressive. They've gone the other way with this. A lot of this were options that they had a long time to capitalize on, but they have now taken down all of these options, and they are funded to buy all of this exahash. So you're going to see there's an initial batch of 12 exahash, or 60,000 units, expected to ship next quarter. The agreement includes a strategic call option to purchase another 100 S21s at a fixed price of $16 per terahash. So you see this sentence right here says 160,000 Bitmain S21 miners, or the equivalent of 32 exahash per second. So 32 exahash per second locked in at $16 per terahash. That's about $500 million. So this is why I thought it was going to take them a long time to do this, and they would pace this out over time. But you're going to see it's now just 2.5 months later, and they've now raised that $500 million, and they have the funds to pay for this in full. So they very quickly exercised all of these options, something that I thought was going to take all year 2024 and maybe into 2025, but it would seem to me that CleanSpark has bigger and better plans than I anticipated. Okay, back to the March operation report. They go on to say opportunities are prevalent, and we believe that consolidation prospects, which have been discussed abundantly throughout the industry for some time, are more relevant than ever before. So it looks to me like they're talking about, as they mentioned in the previous paragraph, some merger and acquisitions. Now, in my opinion, from CleanSpark's perspective, the mergers and acquisitions that they will be looking to do, and of course, this is not financial advice, this is my speculation. We know that they've bought the machines to get to 50 exahash, or they have exercised all of their options to buy those 160,000 machines. So I'm not necessarily sure they're looking to actually acquire other companies. I think that mergers and acquisitions are more going to come in the lines of buying out assets. And the assets that CleanSpark really needs is to fill out the rest of their infrastructure for these 160,000 machines that they just bought. So I think they will be looking to buy data centers, looking to get into new power purchase agreements in the data centers that they're in. So that's the opportunities I think that lie ahead for them. And that's the other piece of the spending puzzle. We just saw $500 million is going to get them the Bitmain S21 machines necessary to get to 50 exahash, but they do need to fill out their infrastructure in order to get those up and running in an effective and an efficient way in quality data centers with good power purchase agreements. So it looks to me, it feels to me like that's what they're going to be focusing on the rest of this year. Obviously, they're not going to go from 16 exahash to 50 overnight. I want to take a look at their most recent investor presentation. There's a couple of pages in here that talk about what they're looking to do. So you can see at this time in February, they had 106,000 miners deployed, 12.5 exahash. Well, we know they're already up to 16, and they said 17 exahash imminent. Okay, phase one of this is to get to 215,000 miners. That's the 60,000 miners that they had already purchased. That would get them to 32 exahash. The next phase of this says at exercise of option. So that's the option on the 100,000 additional Bitcoin mining machines. Well, clearly they've exercised that option, and you can see that is going to get them to 50 exahash. So if we take a look at the next slide in this presentation, you're going to see H1 of 2024. That's where we are right now. They're saying they're going to get to 20 exahash. We know they said their 17 exahash is imminent. So over the next quarter, they're going to get from 17 to 20. The second half of 2024, they're saying 32 exahash. So by the end of the year 2024, they're looking to be at 32 exahash. So this is going to put them in real contention for being the largest Bitcoin miner, or certainly competing for that. And with their level of efficiency, as far as the number of Bitcoin that they mine per exahash historically, they could very well end up competing for mining the most Bitcoin per month. And then you'll see in 2025, they have this additional 20 exahash to get to 50 exahash. So these plans did seem like they were way out in the distance, but now they've already put on lockdown all 160,000 machines required to get to this 50 exahash. This is no longer a plan with a lot of options that they may or may not exercise. They have now dedicated and spent the resources to commit to this 50 exahash. You're going to see with this most recent at-the-market offering, I think they're actually looking to get beyond that. So now let's get to the at-the-market offerings. And this goes to their stock dilution. On January 5th, they filed this prospectus with the SEC. This is up to $500 million. So this is a shelf offering on January 5th, 2024, just 3 months ago, for a shelf offering for $500 million. They did this on January 5th. So last week, the news came out that they did another $800 million at-the-market offering. There was some confusion surrounding that. It was hard to understand. They had just put out a $500 million at-the-market offering. Another $800 million at-the-market offering did seem confusing. But if you get to the bottom of this and sort things out, this came out on March 28th. CleanSpark up to $800 million at-the-market offering. This is a prospectus supplement to the prospectus that they put out on January 5th. That's what we just looked at. That was the $500 million at-the-market offering. So I pulled out an excerpt from this. There's a section in this called Prospectus Supplement Summary. Inside of that, they say the following. From January 2024 through March 27th, we issued 34 million shares under the sales agreement for gross proceeds of $500 million and net proceeds of $487 million after deducting commissions to Wainwright on the shares sold and offering expenses. So you're going to see in less than 3-month period of time, they did draw down this entire $500 million. What's interesting is, as they did this, that was 34 million shares, and actually their stock price went up and hit a new multi-year high in the middle of this process. So this stock dilution really did not hurt their stock price. Now, this new $800 million, the market did have a little bit of at least a short-term knee-jerk shock reaction, and we're still playing that out. I think as people come to digest this and understand this, if CleanSpark can execute on what they're talking about, this is absolutely massive growth plans. They entered this year 2024 at 10 exahash. They're looking to leave the year at 32 exahash and get to 50 exahash by next year. They've already funded all of that. From a machine standpoint, they funded all of that out of this $500 million that they just drew down. So the $800 million that they just issued, some of that, a significant portion of that, will be spent on infrastructure to get these 160,000 machines operating in an efficient manner, but that will by no means take up anywhere near the $800 million offering. So they did talk about some mergers and acquisitions and looking for other opportunities. So I'm expecting to see two things out of CleanSpark over the next really couple of years. And, hopefully we get these updates on a regular basis. The first thing is we want to see them implement this strategy. They've spent $500 million to buy all these machines. So they need to try to stay on track. And basically on track is 20 exahash by June 30th, 32 exahash by the end of the year 2024, and 50 exahash by the end of the year 2025. Now, in between now and then, with this $800 million, I think it's entirely possible we're going to see them announce plans to get beyond this 50 exahash. So I want to say right now, this is my speculation. I'm just doing the math. It's not going to take, in my opinion, anywhere near the $800 million to build out the rest of this infrastructure to get to 50 exahash. I think they're probably going to announce getting to 60 or 70 or maybe beyond 70 exahash sometime during 2025 or maybe in 2026. Their direct peers, Marathon and Riot, have talked about getting anywhere from 70 to 100 exahash over the next few years. So I think CleanSpark with this $800 million has put themselves in a position to do the same. And I think that there's definitely those three companies in particular, in my opinion, are really pulling away from the rest of the field. And that doesn't mean I think they're going to be the only three successful companies, but it does seem to me that they will be the three largest companies. All three of these companies put out shelf offerings very similar to what CleanSpark did. Riot put out a $750 million at-the-market offering just recently this last month, and Marathon put out a $1.5 billion at-the-market offering just recently this last month. So this is very in line with what their peers are doing. I will tell you, I must admit, to me, this took me by surprise. But the more I look at this and the more I digest this, I see what they're planning on doing. Now, I will say there's an awful lot of execution necessary to get to where they're going. So this is one of those things where, as an investor or a potential investor, if this is something that you own or have on your watch list, watching their execution is going to be the most crucial thing. Now, fortunately, in the Bitcoin mining space, we do get monthly operational updates from these Bitcoin miners, and they can often be quite comprehensive, just like Cleanspark's was this month. There's one more thing I want to show you on this stock dilution. I pulled this excerpt out of their 10Q for the period ended December 31st, 2023. So in that 3-month period, they issued 24 million shares under their existing at-the-market shelf offering, and that got them $99 million, round up, call it $100 million. So in the previous 3 months, they had raised $100 million. If I do the math on that, if we look at these 24 million shares that they issued in the quarter ended December 31st, 2023, that got them $99 million. So those were issued at a price of about $4 a share. This $500 million offering that they just opened and closed in the last 3 months, so in less than 90 days, that got them 34 million shares. That got them $500 million. So you can see that was at a price of about $14.67. So that was more than triple the price they were getting just in the previous quarter. So you can see this is one of the reasons I think they weren't shy about grabbing this money to dilute at close to $15 when you have spent the better part of the last year diluting, in the $4 range. I think they seized their opportunity to get this $500 million. So a lot of you may have different feelings as to whether or not this was too much, too fast. And then the other part of this is not only did they grab this $500 million, but as soon as they closed that out, they issued a new at-the-market offering for $800 million. So I can understand why this was a shock to the system. I can understand why they're trading down like they are. And if we take a look, the market just opened Tuesday morning here as I'm recording this, and Cleanspark's down another 9%. So they were over $24 just 3 or 4 trading days ago, and now they're trading in the 16s. So you can see this is a combination of both a big pullback in Bitcoin, but of course, all of this stock dilution that we've seen from CleanSpark. So this has been a very bumpy ride. This is only a few trading days, so this has been extreme volatility. We always talk about on this channel how the Bitcoin miners are extremely volatile. So it's why we stress in every video, this is not financial advice. I'm not recommending to buy this stock or sell this stock. So everybody, please be very careful. Do your own due diligence. Have conviction in these stocks if you're going to buy them, because you can see these giant swings are very, very difficult for investors. So hopefully this sheds some light onto what's been going on with CleanSpark, a little clarity on all the stock dilution they've done recently, and a little clarity on what their growth plans are and what they plan to do with that money. So you guys can take that information. Of course, you can be the judge of whether or not you think this is a good plan or a bad plan, and obviously we'll keep our eye on their execution. So that's everything I got for you on CleanSpark. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, please consider subscribing to the channel. And of course, don't forget to smash the like button. So thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.